and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matthew, or should we say Konnichiwa, because behind us is something new from Mazda.
That's right, we've got the new CX-90, Mazda's new flagship 7-seater. Come, let's take a look at this. So like I said, this is the first ever CX-90, and in fact it actually shares the same large modular platform as the CX-60. So both of them sit on the same underpinnings, but this one is obviously much bigger. This actually replaces the CX-9 and actually sits slightly larger than the CX-8. So just gives you a size of proportions. I'll go into the dimensions in a moment, but it is a big 7-seater, and it really does elevate Mazda's position as a sort of luxury vehicle producer, and it takes it to the next level. For New Zealand, we're only bringing in the petrol version and only the Takami version. So in terms of trim and also power, this is it. Looking around the front here, unmistakably Mazda, but you'll notice that the grille is somewhat different. It's got this cascading sort of black piano blackness to it that does sort of set it aside from where it normally is. You've got LED headlights that really do light the way across, plenty of chrome across here and also around your grille. So very good looking, very well, it's got a really masculine and aggressive front to it. Let's get the color out the way. This one is their premium color, their sort of their hero color. It's the artisan red metallic, and really does show off their Kodo design and also the light play. So really your shading and coloring to do with whenever the light moves over, you get a sort of different presentation as to what the car looks like. And it really does, considering it is such a large vehicle, it hides some of its size. On the matter of size, it really, in lengthwise, we're talking 5.1 meters, height 1.75 meters. It's so tall, and or just under 2 meters in width. So it really does fill up the car parking spaces wherever you go, and you may have trouble squeezing it into your garage. The wheels, we're looking at massive 21-inch, and they're diamond cut, and they look amazing and quite wide as well, which is great. You've got an inline 6 badge that goes, obviously shows you what's going on under the bonnet, but we'll go for that more in a while. Plenty of chrome finishes down here, down by your sill, and you've got a Mazda sort of embossed in here, which makes you know you're in a Mazda. I don't know. You've got privacy glass. You've got a nice sort of tapering roof line round to the rear here with your roof rails and your more chrome, but look at it. So around the rear here, we've got a nice little overhang for your spoiler at the top here, or your roofline spoiler. More black and glass here. You've got a rear wiper, which is cool. You've got LED tail lights which go across. You've also got a kicker tailgate that opens up to 257 litres of trunk space here with all the seats up, and 608 should you drop the seats down. There you go, so loads from there. And the other thing is, you've got a lovely eSkyActiv G badge, and that relates to what's under the bonnet. So let's go there. Oh, hello. What we have here is a 3.3 litre turbocharged straight 6. I'm not sure if we can still call it straight 6, but there you go. And it's also a mild hybrid, so it's got a 48 volt system. It's mated to an 8-speed automatic gearbox, and actually the whole powertrain is the most powerful powertrain or mass-produced powertrain that Mazda's actually managed to do. The other good thing is, when it's under revs, it does sound like a German engineered engine, but we'll get to that later. In terms of kilowatts and newton meters, we're talking 254 kilowatts of power and 500 newton meters of torque. And when it comes to efficiency, roughly 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers. So pretty efficient. And emissions wise, it's 189 grams, but it's not bad for something that's, you know, quite a hefty 3 litre. But anyway, speaking of something else that's straight, Matthew's inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
Well, Dave's right. I am a straight talker, and as pointed out by some of our commenters, that I'm the so-called interior specialist here at Tarmac Life. And even from my expert opinion view, the interior of this Mazda CX-90 has been done really well, and certainly feels luxurious. There's no question about that. And that spirals down all the way to the materials that have been used all across this interior. So the seats are Napa leather and black in color with some sort of golden, like caramel colored stitching to contrast that. Interestingly though, even in this Takami spec, which is the top level available on the CX-90, you can only have one interior color, which is the one we have here, the black. So if you do prefer your cream color or lighter interiors, you might have to look at the CX-60 if that's what you desire. The dashboard panel as well, again you've got a leather material over here which feels really soft. Your plastics up top are soft as well, and then you've got some scratchy stuff down the bottom there too. Note also the use of shiny highlighted plastic trim pieces on both the dashboard panel as well as the doors, just to give it a little bit of balance and sort of a change in contrasting colors, as of course is part of the Mazda Kodo design philosophy. While we are on the note of the Kodo design, the key, I guess, party trick of this interior is the fact that all three rows have cup holders, have USB-C chargers as well, and that's sort of part of Mazda's Kodo design philosophy of, well, every seat gets to enjoy a little bit of practicality and luxury, you can say. More so on the interior practicalities, well, you've got generous sized door bins there, you've got two cup holders here, your wireless charger for your phone there, and of course a shallow, but there is storage space underneath this central armrest here too. Something else that's new with the center console here is these three things. You've got Mazda's MI drive there, there's 4 different drive modes, and then you've got this gear stick with its unique track, which some may say is almost Germanic inspired, as is this control system here, this My Drive control system, which of course operates that screen there. So let's take a look at that. Now, I really like Mazda's philosophy of having this screen sort of set a step back away from the driver, which means that it doesn't really attract you to go and touch it and, you know, distracts from your driving. They've been very clear, especially in the safety warning, about how to use this screen intelligently. And speaking of intelligent, actually, again, it's not a touch screen. It's completely controlled by these buttons and knobs in the center, which means that there is some sort of muscle memory associated with the use of this screen. It means that it doesn't really distract from your driving as some other screens can do. In terms of connectivity, well, you've got, as you can see there, your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth connection of course, and then the key party trick with this screen is when you go into settings and scroll down to this, the driver personalization system. So what Mazda have done is actually use this little camera here to, well, once you set up your driver profile, that camera picks up facial rec and then accordingly adjusts the seats, the mirrors, the audio, all of that stuff according to how you've set it up in your driver profile. And it basically is a really easy thing to do when creating a new one, is that you have to simply go in and set your height, and then accordingly the car will adjust a perfect driving position for the driver to enjoy, basically. Speaking of the driver, well, there is a instrument cluster in front of the driver, so let's go take a look at that. Now, in front of the driver, you've got this really clearly presented instrument cluster, and just look at the information available. So if I start on the right, you've got your temperatures there, your fuel level, and in the middle, of course, your efficiency monitor. And what you can do is actually change what you can see there with the info button on the steering wheel. So I can see my iActive Sense, I can see not have anything if I don't want to, or I can have my fuel efficiency. So different information points available to the driver. On the left side, you have your rev counter there, nice and large. And then in the middle, of course, your speedo, and it does have, as you can see there, speed sign recognition and plenty of other safety systems, in particular a very intelligent Mazda adaptive cruise control system, which is operated by the steering wheel. Steering wheel, of course, is nice and leather wrapped. It's also heated, and you do get 2 sets of buttons on either side here for your audio, and on the right side for your adaptive cruise control, as I said before. The audio, of course, controls a intelligent 12-speaker Bose audio system with Mazda sort of dynamic acoustics, so they really have done some crafty work in terms of fitting out the speaker system in this car, and one that you can enjoy from the middle row. Speaking of this middle row, as you can see, the door opens really wide. In fact, it's almost 90 degrees, which makes it really easy for parents to sort of fit child seats here and, you know, get their children in and out. And it is generally very easy. There's isofix points all along the back seats over here for, well, exactly that, ease of use for parents. Well, before, if you remember, I talked about Mazda's Kodo design with cup holders and USB-C charging ports available across the 3 rows. Well, there's one thing I forgot, which is all 3 rows also get the air conditioning vents throughout for sort of best temperatures for everyone, I suppose. So there is another luxury aspect to that, of course. In terms of space, well, there's plenty of that too in the middle here. The seat in front is actually pushed a little bit in front, more so for Dave's position rather than mine. And you can see that I've just got plenty of leg room, in fact, to stretch my legs out. There's a ton of headroom there, and of course that you can have plenty of room across. And this seat also reclines, as you can see there. So I'm leaning back, I've got my legs stretched out, and that also means I can enjoy the view from that dual panoramic sunroof up top there. So it really does feel luxurious in the middle row here. Now, I'm in the 3rd row here. I've had the seat back up again, and my knees just about touch it, but it's not uncomfortable. And at the same time, I've got a bit of foot room to play with too. So it really is, even for an adult, a comfortable place to be at the back here. And you add 2 adults, and there's absolutely no problem at all with room in this 3rd row. So Mazda really have been thoughtful in their design of this interior of the CX-90.
First thing I want to point out before we go anywhere is this gear stick. Now, this is the biggest bugbearer I've got with this vehicle, so might as well get it out of the way. It's solving, I don't know what's problem it's solving, but to get it going, you flick over to the left and then you're automatically in reverse, which kind of blows my mind, and then normal drive, go back to drive, and away you go. But also when you park, normally you would just go straight there and you park. It's not, you're in reverse. So it's just, for me, it's just a bit odd and isn't quite, my old brain takes a while to get used to it. But anyway, bugbearer out the way, now we're off.
Although Dave might have difficulty with that, Mazda have been sort of very intelligent in their implementation of not just that, but several other things in this car. So for example, the My Drive system, you do have 4 driving modes, including a normal, sport, there's an off-road, and there's a towing mode as well. So really owning all parts of what this car can do and is supposed to do.
And yeah, so it is big enough to, or it's very practical in its ways as far as a big family bus goes. So you've got the ability to tow, you've got spaces for everywhere, and just the practicalities of this vehicle are phenomenal. Even back in the back, you've got a plug, or 240 volt 3-pin plug that you can do whatever you do with plug things at the back there.
That's correct, and it's actually part of Mazda's Kodo design philosophy that all 3 rows of seats have USB-C chargers, have air conditioning vents or air conditioning capabilities, and cup holders too. So they have really thought about how practical then can they make this entire car for, say, a family, because it does happen at times where, you know, manufacturers tend to put in a 3rd row but then sort of make it really unloved and, you know, I guess a dark and dingy place, but not in this CX-90.
Then there's the practicalities of actually the driving. So visibility all round's great. You've got a nice big windscreen, you've got nice views out the side. The door mirrors are a little bit funky for me because you have to extend them right out to get the blind spot, but there is blind spot monitoring. And then also the rear, slightly compromised when you've got all the headrests up, but you know, especially if you've got all 7 seats occupied, but on the whole the visibility is good. Then there's the drive, this big powerful 3.3 litre, I don't know, monster of an engine that just sounds like a German inspired vehicle when you really get going. It's awesome.
Yeah, that 3.3 liter turbocharged straight 6 mild hybrid power plant is exactly that. It is a power plant and can catapult this car forwards very quickly. In terms of the 0 to 100 times, we have seen several different sources quoted all over the place, from 8 point something seconds right down to about 6.5. But we're pretty confident of it being somewhere in the middle. I think it does definitely feel quick, and of course that engine note is quite something.
The other thing is just on its safety. It's probably too safe. I don't know. I can't say that, but you've got front cross traffic alert, you've got rear cross traffic alert, you've got blind spot, you've got everything to keep you safe and your family safe. But sometimes it's just a little bit too beepy for my liking.
It does tend to do that quite a lot, but then the plus side of that is, for example, the Mazda adaptive cruise control system. You set it and it works really well in terms of keeping distance and, you know, maintaining the speed and making sure everything is smooth, which is not always something that we see. So, you know, hats off to Mazda for using that technology so well.
The other thing is this vehicle, when it's driving, is the cornering. And the balance is roughly 50-50, so your cornering is really good. But also they've got a very smart suspension system called its KPA or something, kinetic positioning or something along those lines. And what it is it keeps you in the corners when you're really thrown around. It keeps you quite straight. So you don't get any of this motion sickness, and you are able to maintain a very good positioning when you're driving. It's very cool and very clever.
Absolutely right, and the seats do quite a good job of doing that anyway, with the bolstering being nice, the Nappa leather of course soft, and they just generally feel very comfortable to be in, right down to the back row. For example, all of the rows of seats have got the same amount of love from Mazda in terms of their craftsmanship, and it is generally just a nice place to be. The cabin is well insulated and feels luxurious, and of course you've got that dual panoramic sunroof above, and then when you want to turn up the tunes, you've got a 12-speaker Bose audio system, which has been expertly crafted by Mazda as well for this car, so there's that too.
So there you have it, Mazda's new CX-90, new nameplate, bigger platform, bigger vehicle actually, but just ultimate luxury as far as Mazda goes. It also has a lovely distinctive German sound about it when you put your foot down. So nice vehicle, and really pushing taking Mazda to the next level.
Absolutely, it's sort of the ultimate expression of a Mazda SUV in terms of size, in terms of luxury, and in terms of technology too.
I just don't like this gear stick. But anyway, it's only because I can't get my head around it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.